Have you ever wondered what would happen if you stopped chasing purpose? If you stopped asking, what's next? And simply allowed yourself to exist, not as someone trying to become, but as someone who already is? We live in a world that glorifies goals, plans, and constant progress. We are told that without purpose, life is meaningless. But what if the truth is the opposite? What if peace begins the moment you stop searching for meaning in every breath and start feeling the meaning that was always there? This message is not about giving up, it's about waking up. It's about discovering the quiet power of living with no purpose at all. Before we begin, take a deep breath. Inhale slowly through your nose, exhale gently through your mouth. Feel the air entering your body. Feel your thoughts slowing down. Observe your mind without judging it. In this silence, you will begin to understand. Today, we speak about something that seems strange to many: living with no purpose. In a world where everyone is chasing something, where people measure worth by achievements, the idea of having no purpose sounds like failure. But perhaps it is not failure at all. Perhaps it is freedom. Pardon, when you live with purpose, you begin to live with pressure. The moment you decide what your purpose is, you unknowingly begin to create a wall around yourself. You begin to measure your life against this invisible goal, and every day that you feel far from it, you suffer. You question yourself, compare your path to others, and worry about time slipping away. You wake up not in peace, but in pursuit. And in that pursuit, you forget how to live. The truth is, purpose often becomes the root of anxiety. You become attached to results, attached to identity, and attached to control. You start believing that happiness will arrive only when the purpose is fulfilled. But life is never guaranteed to move in a straight line. No matter how hard you plan, life has its own rhythm, its own timing. When you resist that rhythm, you create conflict within yourself. That conflict turns into frustration, anger, and self-doubt. You begin to lose sight of the simple joy of being alive. When you live with purpose, you are always chasing a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. You are trying to become something more when, perhaps, what you truly need is to remember what you already are. You are not here to reach an imaginary destination. You are here to experience the path. When you live without purpose, you stop forcing life to follow your expectations. You begin to allow life to unfold naturally. Like a river flowing without resistance, you move effortlessly without needing to know where you are going. You begin to feel at peace with uncertainty. Because now, you are not living for tomorrow, you are living in today. Purpose can be beautiful when it arises from awareness, but it becomes dangerous when it arises from fear. Many people chase goals not because they are inspired, but because they are afraid. Afraid of being meaningless. Afraid of being forgotten. Afraid of not being enough. And so they fill their lives with noise, activity, and endless ambition to escape silence. But the one who dares to live with no purpose learns to befriend silence. They learn to be comfortable with simply existing. They learn that peace is not found through purpose but through presence. Living with no purpose doesn't mean living carelessly, it means living consciously. You still act, you still move, you still grow, but you no longer move out of desperation, you move out of harmony. You begin to enjoy what is in front of you rather than obsessing over what is missing. The weight of I must become disappears, and in its place comes the lightness of I already am. You start to find beauty in the ordinary. The sound of your footsteps, the feeling of the wind, the breath in your chest. You realize these small moments are not distractions from purpose. They are life itself. To live with no purpose is to remember that you are not a machine built to achieve. You are a being created to experience. And when you allow yourself to experience life fully, without chasing meaning in every corner, that is when you begin to truly understand it. You do not lose direction. You find stillness. You do not become empty. You become free. The benefit of living with no purpose is that you stop fighting against life. You stop trying to control the flow and instead begin to move with it. Most people suffer not because life is cruel, but because they resist its nature. They believe they must always be going somewhere, always achieving something, always becoming someone. But when you live like that, you are constantly at war with what is. Life becomes a battlefield of expectations, what you think should happen versus what actually happens. And in that constant battle, you lose the ability to simply be. When you have no fixed purpose, you begin to live in alignment with the rhythm of existence. You stop asking, what should I do next? And start asking, what is life showing me right now? This shift changes everything. Instead of rushing ahead, you begin to listen. Instead of forcing, you begin to flow. You notice that the best things in life, the laughter, the stillness, the beauty of a sunrise, were never part of a plan. They just happen naturally. When you stop forcing your story, you begin to live it fully. The mind that is obsessed with purpose is never at peace because it always lives in the future. It imagines what will be instead of appreciating what is. It believes that fulfillment exists somewhere beyond this moment. But when you live with no purpose, you begin to experience the truth. Fulfillment is already here. The trees are not trying to be taller than others. The ocean is not competing with the sky. They simply exist in their natural state of being. And that is why they are at peace. The same applies to you. You were not created to be constantly proving your worth. You were created to exist consciously, to experience, to grow naturally, without the burden of expectation. When you let go of purpose, you make space for presence. And presence is the birthplace of peace. You begin to notice how much energy you wasted trying to control things that were never in your hands. You begin to see how much you missed while chasing something that didn't even belong to you. The benefit of living with no purpose is that you become adaptable. You are no longer fragile when life changes direction. You are no longer broken when plans fail because you are not attached to any particular outcome. You move like water, soft but unstoppable. You understand that every experience has its value and that even confusion has its wisdom. When you live without purpose, you open yourself to discovery. You might find joy in places you never looked before. You might meet people who reflect parts of yourself you didn't know existed. You might find that the peace you were searching for was never hidden at all. It was just waiting for you to stop searching. Life without purpose is not meaningless. It is meaningful in a deeper way. It teaches you to trust existence itself, to trust that you are always where you need to be. The river does not ask where it is going, yet it reaches the ocean. The flower does not ask why it blooms, yet it fulfills its nature. The moon does not strive to shine. It simply reflects the light it receives. And in the same way, you do not need to strive endlessly to prove yourself. You simply need to live, fully, openly, consciously. When you live with no purpose, you move from chasing to being, from tension to stillness, from confusion to clarity. It is not a path of laziness, it is a path of liberation. And one day you will realize the greatest purpose of all was to live without one, because in that state you are finally free to experience life as it truly is, pure, complete, and whole.